Okay, so you've been trucking for a year and a half. How did your paths cross with this guy, Andrew Yang? How did he show up on your doorstep?
So basically, I have a friend. His name is Red Viking Trucker. Shout out to Red Viking Trucker. It's a friend of mine. And Andrew was doing an interview with him. And I was kind of listening, but kind of not, because quite honestly, I don't like Democrats.
Okay.
I just don't. Right. For various reasons, which we can go through. So I was kind of just like, whatever. But then there's always a point when you're a political person that the moderator or the person that's interviewing usually tries to like put you in a box or something, on your policy. And he said, well, no, that's not what it's about. It's not about left or right, but forward. Right. And then when he said that, I was just like, what? Holy cow, who is this guy? Right. And I was like able to automatically like hear, because my ears perked up, because with my guys, I always keep things down to like the solution, right? Like what's your desired result? What are the steps to get there? Is there anybody that we need to bring on board to kind of help you get there? Okay, what's step one? Okay, start there, call me back. Right?
Right.
And, if you call me back whining about your life and you haven't done anything in regards to step one, then you're wasting my time. Call back when you're ready. Right?
Yeah.
Kind of tough love kind of stuff, So I was just like, that was like music to my ears. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But still, he was a Democrat. So that was a problem for me. And I didn't really know his platform, but all I just knew was $1,000 a month was insane. And who's going to pay for it? And this guy is a complete socialist, communist, Marxist, idiot who doesn't know what the heck he's talking about. That was my, if I'm being completely honest, that was my initial impression. Right?
Yeah.
So my buddy calls me up about a week later and said, hey, they're looking for people to do ride-alongs. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do a ride-along with this guy. Right? And then I thought about it for like a day and a half. And then I called him back. I said, you know what? Book it. Right? So this is like 6 weeks out. And I booked it with the idea in mind. I'm going to get this socialist in my truck and I'm going to smash him. Right? Like he doesn't know squat.
You'll convert him.
Yeah, I'm just like, dude, you don't know squat. You're just like you don't know what you're talking about, right? So So about 2 weeks before the meeting, I do kind of a deep dive, in who he is, and kind of to know thy enemy, so to speak.
Little research.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit of research. So I wake up one day, I listen to his book, 7 hours long. Then I listen to the Joe Rogan podcast, and I listened to the Breakfast Club. And then first of all, when I listened to the book, I was trying to come up with because I'm so solution oriented. I was trying to come up with a solution as to how I am going to make a transition out of trucking and be able to pay for all this cool stuff that I have. And be able to keep the lifestyle that I have. That was my biggest concern.
Yeah.
Because when I listened to the book, I just knew that most of everything that he said was true. And I noticed that a societal breakdown would be terrible for most people.
Yeah. So you did a fair amount of research before the ride along. You listened to his book actually before he came on in the truck.
Correct. As a matter of fact, when he stepped out of the car, I said, "Hey, I'm going to give you a shot. When you win the nomination, I'm going to give you a shot." And I know that he can win. So If I can encourage anybody in the Yang gang, like I'll go to I was at the LA rally, and then there was like an after party at the LA rally, and I was like, if I hear another thing about 2024, there's going to be a bar fight in this bar right now. Right?
Well, what did you hear about 2024?
No, I just hear it all the time from people talking about 2024, or if he doesn't make it, where are we going to land? Right?
Oh.
And like to me, there is no if, there's only when. Right? And that win is when he wins. Right? So we got to have an attitude of abundance. We got to have instead of a mindset of scarcity as a Yang gang. Right? I hear people all the time that say, well, when he gets to a certain point, then I'll donate. Or when he gets to a certain point, then I will I will call people, or I'll talk to people about him. Right? Well, I say he's not going to get to that point unless you do those things. Yeah. So you gotta have some faith and live in that abundance mindset. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I mean, Russell Wilson always says you got to expect great things to happen, and you got to work hard, but you also have to you got to believe.
Yeah.
And you can't just wait. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to believe. You got to believe. So there's got to be a sense of urgency on our part to make this happen. And he's not alone in this. Our candidate is phenomenal. But we have to do our part, and part of that is training our minds and seeing things in our mind's eye of success.
So before you guys did the ride along, it sounds like you kind of were already leaning in his direction as a result of the research that you did, or did you need some convincing?
Correct. I was 90% there, honestly. Yeah. But I still needed. So when I took in all this information, right, I struggled big time, mightily, for like 3 days. I couldn't sleep. I was like not eating very well. I was just like irritated, and I was struggling with like, I'm gonna have to support a Democrat.
Right. You had the cognitive dissonance. It was like some internal struggle.
Yeah. Well, there's a meme going out right now that has, I think, Homer Simpson lying in bed, like not sleeping, and said Republicans or conservatives thinking about up at night, thinking about Yang, and it says Yang makes sense, right? Right. Yeah, and so that's kind of what happened to me. And at the end, by like halfway into the third day, because I tell my guys when I sponsor guys and I talk to them, and I say, either live your values or just get new ones, get new values. So, and I just had this moment of clarity where I was like, honestly, you're struggling with tribalism, the red versus blue tribalism right now.
Right.
And I'm not for like rich versus poor, red versus blue. I'm anti-tribalism, right?
Yeah.
I'm not for red versus blue, rich versus poor, black versus white, what have you, right?
Yeah.
So it just hit me like a ton of bricks. Well, you just either have to get some new values or you have to support Andrew Yang.
Yeah.
So once I was able to take that and internalize it, then the rest was like I just dove. I was 90% there. What I needed from the other 10% came from Andrew, right?
So yeah, tell me about that.
So literally, I tried to kind of like be a prick to Andrew in the truck a little bit, right? Yeah. Like just to kind of see, because there was this little 10% of me that wanted to say that he's everything that a Democrat is.
Right.
Because what Democrats have in the last, he said it in on the Bill Maher interview. He's like, Democrats, you know, he's like, hey, identity politics, I'm the son of immigrants, and I understand the impulse, but Democrats have to know that it's a very poor way to win elections, and that 30 years ago, the Democrat Party used to be about the little guy or gal, and we need to get back to that. So my impression of Democrats as of the last 30 years has been to find a group of auto workers or a minority or a group of women or whatever, and say, I'm your hero. I alone can save you. I'm your hero. I'm your savior. Vote for me. And it's very elitist, and it's very it's like, trust me, I got this, right? You
right.
Right.
It's not empowering for sure.
Yes. Yes. And so I just kind of took it to him on a bunch of things, right? And I was hoping, what I was hoping for is for him to be offended, right? And to prove everything that I said was true about him in my mind, right? Because I've already got this guy in my head. I'm thinking, like, this guy's a Democrat. He's going to get all butthurt and act like he's offended. And he was pretty much like, yeah, okay. And then he like, to completely like diffuse the whole situation. Right.
Yeah. You were ready for him to get all kind of emotional and kind of snowflakey.
Yeah. Like I asked him like hard questions. I was like, are you going to do what Hillary did and like offer black people hot sauce and Beyonce concerts and LeBron James, which they already have access to? Or are you going to actually do something for the black community? Right. I lived in a black community in St. Louis. Right. Instead of like, take their self-confidence away by patting them on the back and saying, oh, poor minority. Right.
Yeah.
And he was like, that's a really good, he was like, that's a really good point. Right. Like,
yeah.
And I just say things that I think are true. Right. And he was very gracious with his time. And one of the things, and I said this in the video, one of the things I like about him is he's a great listener, and he seeks to understand first and seeks to be understood second.